over the next 3 years, I had to guard Trey Kelly or Devan Downey every day in practice. Steven, you seem like you have a lot more fun in college than I'm having. It was the night they introduced the Garnet Army. I was the only one injured in that game, and I was already on the injured reserve. That was the best prank ever.
They thought you were the best shooter on that 2007-2008 team. Will you credit yourself that?
Tailgate Talks is proudly presented by our title sponsor, Green's Beverages, South Carolina's go-to spot for all things beer, wine, and spirits. This episode is brought to you by the High Rise Beverage Co., real fruit-infused THC and CBD seltzers with zero artificial flavors or colors. Born in South Carolina, High Rise is here to help you elevate every moment, from the tailgate to game day. Sip smart, sip local. Buy High Rise Beverage Co. at your nearest Green store today.
Looking for the perfect spot to unwind? Steelhand Brewing in Casey has you covered. Whether you're craving a refreshing craft beer or just a great time with friends and family, Steel Hands has it all. With a variety of craft beers, spacious outdoor beer gardens, and a delicious food menu, there's something for everyone. Plus, join them for free live music every Thursday through Sunday. Visit steelhandsbrewing.com to see their lineup of upcoming events or host your own. Handforce and Casey and voted best local brewery again this year. Go visit steelhandsbrewing.com. All right, what's up, Tailgaters? We are welcomed this week by a guest that I know everybody knows who it is. Face, name, everything. But this is a guy that I've known for a long time. Steven's known for a while too. Branden Conrad, who played basketball at Carolina from 2006 to 2008. Appreciate you joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. Good to catch up with both of you.
It's going to be a fun one, man. You got George back there watching over the call and everything, like you said. So
you always got to keep it honest, Steven, when both of y'all are on board.
Well, you got some kid artwork back there. You got a basketball. Like you're ready to roll.
This is Duncan. Probably a couple years ago, I'd say he's a pretty good artist, trying to draw the Gamecock.
Huge Gamecock, yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, you're living back up in Charlotte now, but you're also from Charlotte. So tell us a little bit about your upbringing, going to Providence Day, and kind of high school recruiting and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. Came back up to Charlotte about 3 years ago after living in Columbia after school. So loved being in Columbia. It's been good to be back up in Charlotte around my family. I grew up one of 5 kids, so my parents and 3 of my 4 siblings are still up here in Charlotte. So we just celebrated Christmas as y'all did, and there were 13 grandkids under 10 years old running around.
It's a busy house.
It makes for a lot of fun outside. I'm the black sheep of the family that I can probably get into later, going to South Carolina. Everyone else is from an orange school in the upstate. Myself, my wife, and our kids are certainly picked on when we're all around Charlotte. But
you guys are the only bright spots in that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the way I like to look at it. The only smart one. So, yeah, growing up middle of 5 children, certainly learned early on how to scrap and claw for everything. I think that created my mentality long term, being a walk-on at South Carolina. Back in the day in Charlotte when I was growing up, I played AAU. And back then, I think they had 2, maybe 3 AAU teams, if you can imagine that, for each age group. So think about that today. It's 30 kids in all of Charlotte playing AAU basketball.
It's a select group. Now there's probably 60 teams.
I was about to say.
You got one for each neighborhood.
You get a job. You get a job. You get a job.
But, man, I tell you what, that was you being football guys, if you remember Kenny Moore, the running back at Wake Forest, 09, he was on our AU team. I ran into him at Providence Day. His kids go there now. But we played together for 4 or 5 years. We're really close friends. So it was good seeing him the other night. But we had a great AU team. Our 12-year-old year, we lost in the national championship in Salt Lake City, Utah. probably our arch rival was Chris Paul, played on a team out of Winston-Salem. So
it's pretty good.
We beat them in the States, and then this epic two overtime game in Salt Lake City, we beat them in the Sweet 16. So it was awesome. Very memorable drive.
I mean, there are so many memories that I can remember back, like Pop Warner football, AAU baseball, even AAU basketball, just like fond memories as a kid hanging out with your buddies, competing. I mean, there's something like travel sports has gotten a little out of control, but there's something about when you occasionally traveled for a tournament here and there, like how impactful those weekends were, being trapped in a hotel with your buddies. Yeah. Like, so it's cool to hear that was alive in Charlotte.
It was awesome, man. You could certainly pick me out from the lineup. I think I was the only white guy on our team too, which was awesome. I mean, you just learn diversity and different backgrounds at a young age. That I was very blessed to have that experience when others didn't.
Yeah. Well, I can promise you this: it wasn't that much different being the lonely white guys on the football team either.
Absolutely.
I mean, you went to Jefferson. Yeah, you were.
Jefferson. I was one of, I think, like 4 or 5. So
really
stuck out like a sore thumb.
Yep.
Well, tell us about. I mean, you ended up going to Navy right out of high school, but were you getting recruited by any other schools? Did you just want to go military, or what was the reason there?
No, I would say I did not. I didn't have my love for the military and history like Steven did at that time. But I think probably my talent and I had discipline. I had good grades, and so I was recruited by all the military schools and some mid majors. And I actually went out to the Air Force Academy and went out there in October. It was snowing. It was a really cool experience. And then went to the Naval Academy a couple weekends later. That Air Force later that year went on to be ranked in the top 25, lost to Chapel Hill in the tournament. So a little bit of me was kicking myself, but I think it felt a lot more natural being in Annapolis, on the East Coast, closer to home. And I remember I was recruited to the Naval Academy by Dave Wojcik, whose brother Doug was the point guard on David Robinson's Naval Academy team.
Okay.
And so he had great stories. But what I really respected from Dave was I remember him being at my house and he said, Naval Academy's not easy, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. And he walked through like the challenges. And I think as he kept talking about how challenging it was, I got more and more excited. I think it just raised my competitiveness, and so it seemed like a good fit. But I always appreciated him being real with me on what to expect when I got there.
Well, so you did 2 years there. How come you didn't finish out all 4? What was kind of the thought process in transferring to Carolina? We're glad you did, but walk us through that.
Yeah, great question. One I get all the time, especially people that didn't play sports really mad at me. And it was tough. So I'd say from a basketball standpoint, the head coach that recruited me was a longtime coach, coached at Tennessee, then ended at the Naval Academy, Don DeVoe. And he retired a month before I reported.
Shit.
Go in, brand new coach. And so I'd say basketball didn't really work out. He put all of Don's recruits on JV. So, with that all sophomore year, I tried to figure out if I just wanted to stay in the Navy or continue my dream of playing college basketball. And that was the hardest decision I've ever made. I knew how challenging it was to get accepted into the Naval Academy, and but I made the decision, and I was very blessed. I felt God gave me peace with going to South Carolina and never really looked back. I would say, Steven, I went back for graduation when all my buddies graduated, and that was one of the coolest experiences. That was the first time that I was like, man, what if?
Yeah.
But
And this is a
South
pretty
Carolina,
cool thing. I bet. I mean, it is definitely an honor, and like to go to Navy, and then obviously from there you have to serve 5 years post college.
yeah. So when you can leave anytime within your first 2 years at no cost, and then you go in first start of your junior year, sign your 2 for 7 papers, and you're there for at least 7 years in the military. And so
Married to the game at that point.
Yeah.
you see, a chunk leave the first plebe summer. Like, hey, I didn't know this. I didn't sign up for this. And then you see another little bit leave after Christmas when everyone goes home, and they're like, oh, you do that? Like, Steven, you seem like you have a lot more fun in college than I'm having. And so a little bit leaves in. But after that, I think I had to go all the way up to the commandant one-on-one meetings to make sure I was making the right decisions. And there's probably 2 or 3 that leave when I did it.
The not beauty of that era was you transferred out, and then you had a red shirt and sit on the bench for a year.
Yeah.
Not the same rules as today, where you can just jump ship and go jump right in and play and all that. So tell us about kind of getting to Carolina in 2006, kind of what the culture of the team was, what the adjustment was from military school to SEC school in the form of basketball.
Yeah, I think I told people I was just going to wear that T-shirt that says college every single day while I was at South Carolina. But like you said, I had to sit out a year, a little different time frame. Luckily, I had great friends sitting out with me. Devan Downey, one of the best point guards in history. That's cool. He transferred in from Cincinnati same year, and Zam Frederick transferred in from Georgia Tech. So it felt like we had a good core transferring in, and it was fun because we were the scout team. So it's probably the best scout team in history. And so it was a lot of fun. The team was coming off a back-to-back NIT championships. Ronaldo had just been drafted first round, so it was an exciting time. It was kind of a rebuilding year. That year we sat out, but I'd say over the next 3 years I had to guard Trey Kelly or Devan Downey every day in practice, and I think that really blossomed my game from a walk-on to eventually being able to play at that level.
I'd imagine it either goes one of 2 ways. You either get really good at covering him, or he embarrasses the shit out of you.
Well, I've had both.
Yeah, I could imagine.
I saw a stat the other day that this crazy stat. South Carolina's not had a point guard that averaged 5 assists per game since Trey Kelly and Devan Downey. And Talon
Yikes.
Cooper, man, I loved watching him play.
He's a stud.
But it's hard to do that. But that just speaks to the level that those two played at. And Steven, story on what you just said. So we had Coach Odom, and then my senior year, Darren Horn comes in, and he runs a much more up-tempo style that fit us. I mean, we had Devan, Dominique, Archie. We had a really quick team, even bigs, and Mike Holmes. And so we're running this up-paced tempo, and he's asking me to pick up Devan full court for like 2 hours practice. And he blows the whistle one time and just lays into me because, they inbound the ball, and then it's the back of my jersey just chasing Devan down the court. And so I got wise, and I just guarded my yard, gave him about 10 yards distance so he wouldn't get by me. And Horn didn't like that, so he blew the whistle. He's trying to set a tone. And he said, Coach, I'm an academic All-American just like you. Like, we can run this 2 ways. I can either do what you're asking me to or keep them in front, but I'm not getting up on them and doing what you want either.
We're running a prevent defense here.
Yep. We had a good relationship after that.
I can imagine. Yeah, he was he was so impressive to watch. I'll never forget, I had a couple buddies come up to Columbia for the game we played against Kentucky when they were ranked number 1.
Yep.
I mean, my mom's side of the family's from Louisville, so we're, kind of Kentucky basketball fans. That's one thing. I wore a Kentucky basketball hat one time, and Coach Spurrier ripped my ass for that. Probably not a good look, but dude, I remember watching that game and just seeing Downey just absolutely dominate that game, and that was a pretty fun night after that.
Absolutely. You probably saw him at Village Idiot afterwards,
Were you
didn't you?
first one to storm the court, Steven?
I sure shit tried. I was trying like hell.
Yeah.
But that was so damn fun, man.
Y'all remember speaking of storming the court, you remember the Florida game, the Zam Frederick win at the buzzer over Florida?
Was that Devan's floater or was that his floater?
It was Zam Frederick hit a layup at the buzzer. So it was the night they introduced the Garnet Army. So they had those camouflage Garnet T-shirts in the student section.
Yep.
Sold out like Tuesday night ESPN game. And I had just broken my foot. So I was out on crutches, a cast, and just an improbable situation. We fouled them. We missed a free throw. So we were down one, fouled them. Chandler Parsons playing the NBA forever.
Yep.
1.5 seconds left, and there's no way we're going to win this game. And he walks up, misses front end of free throw, and Holmes just grabs it, throws it the length of the court. Zam runs up under, finishes at the buzzer, place erupts. I think there were 4 football guys. I forget if it was the Brinkleys or who in the front row who Zam just like tackled, and I hopped over there on one leg. I think I'm my wallaby, and I ended up spraining my good foot, like 3rd-degree sprain on my good ankle. And so I was the only one injured in that game, and I was already on the injured reserve.
That's hilarious.
The price of having fun, man.
Well, what's funny is Dakota, our producer, who actually texted the group before you started telling the story, as soon as you brought up the game, Mike Holmes full court pass off a missed free throw, game winner.
Yeah. It was awesome.
He's crazy.
Hey, Gamecocks. At Granger Owings, style starts with you. From custom fits to emerging brands, they offer a curated selection of women's and men's clothing for work, weekends, and every moment in between. Their stylists take the time to understand your lifestyle, then help you build a wardrobe that fits your needs and feels like you. Shop in store, downtown on Main Street and Trenton Plaza, or book a fitting online at GrangerOwings.com. Granger Owings, where personal style meets personal service.
Listen up, Gamecock Nation. Meet your new favorite streamer, Deputy Smitty. A former police officer and diehard South Carolina Gamecock fan, Deputy Smitty brings action-packed content to life every night on Twitch starting at 9:30 p.m. Connect with him on social media by searching Deputy Smitty and join his growing community on Discord at discord.gg/Deputy Smitty. So grab a drink and catch the thrills, laughs, and plenty of Gamecock pride in every stream.
Tailgate Talks is brought to you by JCQ Farms, a proud South Carolina family farm rooted in tradition and built on quality. Whether it's their premium beef, farm fresh produce, or their signature smoked meats, JCQ Farms brings the taste of the South straight to your table. Perfect for your next tailgate, backyard barbecue, or family dinner. Remember, always support your American farms because they are drying out each day. Support local, eat better, and stock up for the season. JCQ Farms, where quality meets Carolina pride.
All right. Well, what do you think was the big transition? I mean, obviously in 2006 and 2007, you guys had okay teams. You were just under 500. But what was the big kind of elevation change? Was it coach? Was it culture? Was it leadership? What kind of led into the success of the 2008 season?
Yeah, I think all of the above. I think we had those NIT teams. I think just caught fire late and realistically could have done some damage in the NCAA tournament. That last one, winning the NIT, they beat Florida twice. They swept them in the regular season, lost by 2 in the SEC championship against Florida, and that was their first national championship run.
That's right, yeah.
And then so Ronaldo went, because they had so much success, he got a lot of time on air. He went in first round. I think they were expecting him back. So that next year ended up being a little bit rebuilding. I don't think that caught them off guard, which was a bummer because Trey Kelly had one of the most sensational years his senior year. And then fast forward to the next year, Devan, Zam, myself all came out of sitting on the bench for a year. And I think we had a good year. And as one of those, I think 3 games could have turned it where we were not 500, but had a really good season, and we lost those. And then you flip it to the next season, and I think Horn came in with a great mentality. So I think that was a good refresher with a new coach that kind of matched the up tempo that our team had and was built for. And then I think also we just learned how to win. It was leadership within the team. We were mostly juniors and seniors. And going into that senior year, or looking at that senior year, we had a buzzer beater at Rupp that Devan hit last second. We had a buzzer beater, the Florida game I just mentioned. We had a block shot at Baylor. They were top 25 at the buzzer. We beat Arkansas in overtime. We had a buzzer beater. Holmes tapped one in at Alabama that they had to review, and we won. And so, I think we just started winning those games. You watch the Bears and watch the first half. Yep. I'm a Bears fan growing up in Chicago, and you're like, not going to happen this game, and they find a way. That's the difference in having a team full of sophomores and a team full of juniors and seniors, especially back then.
Well, hell, you're even seeing it now, man. Even on the football field with the guys from Indiana. I mean,
yep.
Signetti's got a bunch of 2-3 star guys, but they're they know how to win. They're older guys, and yeah, I mean, you see it. And I remember. I mean, Pat, I'm sure you remember. I mean, Coach Fryer constantly was saying we have to know how to win games. Like, we're not used to winning games in Columbia, South Carolina. We have to figure out how to. We got to know how to win games. And I'm glad you said that, because I haven't heard that phrase in a long time.
And y'all are a perfect example. I mean, you really saw that flip of we're in a lot of games and you have opportunities and then you win them. And it I'd say myself as part of that plan, I think there's I walked on. Different coaches have different perceptions of walk-ons, and from an early age I had to learn to fight and claw, and I started those AU teams 15 out of 15 on the roster. Mm-hmm. By the end of the season I'd be starting, and so I think I was fortunate. Coach Horn gave me an opportunity to play, and I think there's a lot of teams I would not have played on, but I always Coach Martin down the road, I heard him say, be a star in your role. And I think that has always resonated with me, because everyone plays a role and you can't have everyone be Devan Downey. And so I knew my role under Coach Horn was, if I really defended hard, we're playing up tempo, it preserves Devan on the offensive side.
Yep.
And so I think I played a role. I was not as talented as everyone, but I think I fit within that team, and also gave some leadership in them as well.
Well, somebody I talked to in the last day or two said that they thought you were the best shooter on that 2007-2008 team. Will you credit yourself that?
I would say I worked hard at shooting. I would have confidence that I was the best shooter, but I also think there's different shooting.
Just cut the shit, man. Let's be honest.
I wasn't going to be playing if I wasn't shooting. But I do think some, Zam Frederick was more of a gamer. If I challenged him in practice, I was beating him all day long. But man, he hit some shots in games, and I would have liked to see the season play out. I broke into the starting lineup my second game, and then broke my foot, right at Christmas time, and so I missed a good bit of the conference season. But with that, one thing going into the year before, I didn't play at all, but I was 3 for 6 from the free throw line, which really pissed me off. And so every day over the summer and leading up to the next season, every time I entered the gym and left, I'd make 10 in a row. And so I shot 100% my senior year.
That was so friend, obviously, I think you know who it is. Adam Reebok said Branden was the best team shooter we had on the team. But you got to ask him about his first ever shot in a game, and it was a free throw, and you missed your first ever shot as the best free throw shooter on the team in a game.
And Adam didn't like me because I'd always make him stay after.
Get your rebounds.
I got rolling, and I hit like 107, I think, in a row was my high. But he was not happy because if you knew Adam, he was trying to get to Salty Nut pretty quickly after practice.
Yes, no doubt. So the 2008 season, you guys didn't play great in the tournament. You got knocked out of the SEC tournament. I guess, was that first round or second round?
In the SEC tournament?
Yep.
Yeah, we actually probably shot ourselves in the foot because back then they were big on your last 5 games or whatever. And we had a double bye in the SEC tournament because we were top 3 in the conference. Yep. And lost to a Mississippi State team. I think we got up 10 early on and lost late. They had a good team. They actually made one of those runs and ended up winning the SEC tournament and making the tournament.
Yeah. And then was from the SEC tournament to the NIT. How, like, you guys must have been on the bubble of getting in the big tournament. Do you remember, like, sitting around with the guys when it got announced that you didn't get into the tournament? What was that like?
Yeah, we went over to Coach Horn's house as a team, and we were on the bubble. Pretty excited about the opportunity. Felt like we earned it. Like I said, tied for the SEC East with Bruce Pearl's top 10 teams. So felt like we were in good shape. But we went over there, Coach Horn, Mr. Hyman, and others all over there. And it was just new territory for everyone. I hadn't been part of that before. We were not close any of the other years. And then not getting called was a major letdown. And it just being candid, it was hard to recover. We later that night find out we're in the NIT. We're going to play 2 days later against Steph Curry and Davidson. And so that was exciting, but I mean, it was a huge letdown. I mean, it took me until Frank made the run with that team and Sendarius, where I was just salty about that for decades.
I mean, it's rightfully so. I mean, yeah, you've tied for second in the SEC and have every right, and you've played one of the hardest schedules and you've earned it. Then you get shafted late, especially playing so good towards the end of the year. Like, you guys were hot, and then kind of got the steam knocked out of you, having buys and then losing in the SEC tournament. So that stinks. I mean, it's kind of like, Steven and I had a kind of a similar story, but we were 6-1, number 6 in the country, 2007. Lost to Vandy and proceeded to lose our next 4 after that. And ended up
I remember that.
6. Yep. Coach Spurrier said, "Yeah, this team ain't good enough to play in a bowl game." So he pulled us out of the bowl game.
I do remember that. That was brutal.
I think my first year at Carolina, first or second year there. So,
yeah, that was a tough one.
Yeah. Well, tell us, I mean, Devin Downey might be – there's been a lot of really good basketball players to play at Carolina. But in the last 2 decades, he's got to be probably the best from an electric scorer player standpoint, at least the most exciting that I remember. Tell us some stories about him and what made him so good.
I think I mentioned – a much smaller scale, having to scrap and claw at every stage. And Devan, I don't know what he was listed at, 5'9", 5'10". He was not. I don't know who y'all's smallest player was, but Devan was probably there. Maybe Scotty Spurrier.
Him and Bryce Sherman, yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
Dev was maybe 5'6", 5'7". Didn't weigh anything. but man, he was so talented, and he just played with a chip on his shoulder during practice, during games. And I think over time, as he got older, he also started, I had won the weightlifting award by senior year. He took that over. So he really used that, not just off his talent, but his work ethic grew every single year. But what made him special was just the chip on his shoulder. He was always out to prove himself as the best player on the court. He was lightning quick. I've never been around someone as quick as him. But then, I mean, he'd get in the lane and he could score on 7-footers at each, just with a floater. So he was special to watch. I haven't seen anyone like him since.
We're trying to get him on the podcast, so you need to help working that angle. He would be
I certainly, Devan's Devan and I. He's probably one of my closest friends from the team, and lives I think in Rock Hill, or not. Okay. I know he lives in Rock Hill, so he'd be easy one to get on. Devan's a little bit more shy than others, but Stephen, I think he hung out with all your guys. He roomed with Munnerlin and
oh shit, yeah,
he was at the Brinkleys for a year. So Devan's just a great guy. I'm fortunate to have spent that much time with him.
Yeah, I mean, this podcast is kind of run on having, current guys and former guys come in to share stories. And, a lot of guys that we have on might not be the biggest names, might not be as big and as high caliber as you, but we have some other guys. But kind of highlighting their careers because, there's always the next season, right? Gamecock fans, reminisce and remember, but letting kind of people during that era relive those moments. Is really why we're doing this. So we'd love to get them on.
Well, I appreciate it. I'd say, you can go through all the games and locker rooms, but, the locker room and the people in there is what you remember forever. And that's where I wouldn't change my time at the Naval Academy. Basketball didn't work out in South Carolina. I mean, I flew out to California for an awards trip with work. And called my roommate from Navy and later learned, how big California was. And he lived 6 hours from where I was staying in California. And he drove his motorcycle 6 hours to spend 2 hours with me.
That's awesome.
And then a couple years ago, my wife and I flew to London with some really good friends. And I called Evka Benulis. And he flew over to London to spend a night with us, which was really cool.
That's so cool.
I gotta leave you with, I don't know how much more time you have, but I've seen one of my closest friends in each other's weddings, Ryan Suckup, on here before, and telling one of his pranks in Kansas City, which is one of my favorite stories of all time. And so I'll share with you, right after season that senior year, Ryan and I are hanging out with some other friends, and it was Friday night. We were trying to figure out what to do, bored. And one of our friends at the time had this cool new phone app that you could call people and it would show up on caller ID as whatever number you wanted to put in there. Mm-hmm. And so season had just ended. We had a great year. Coach Horn's getting fired up for next year, so he meets with all players individually like every coach does. And the theme of Evka Benulis, who's from Lithuania, as y'all remember him, was,
I remember Evka.
Evka, if you go to 5 points again, you will not be on this team. It's probably the same rule that Stephen had put on him.
One of the many sanctions.
It's like, Coach, I live in 5 points, which was true. He lived above Mucho Margarita next to Rocco's. And so this Friday night, we call Evka. I knew he was hosting a party at his place in 5 points. And so we call him and have it show up as the assistant coach's number. and Ryan plays the assistant coach's voice and just says, Evka, we found out that you were in 5 Points earlier this week, and you're going to have to meet Coach Horn. He's come back from recruiting. You're going to have to meet him there tonight and run sprints, and we'll figure out your future.
Holy shit.
And so we drive over to the practice facility and park across from the old Coliseum. And sure enough, 15 minutes later, this car rolls up and Evka hops on out of it. Apparently he brings his girlfriend, like that was going to be a good idea, to leave her in the car for an hour while he runs sprints. But he goes, we see him walk in to go get dressed in the old locker room. And then we run up there, and about 10 minutes later, he comes out confused, like, where's Coach? We're all standing there. And we're like,
staying alive.
You got punked, man. And he walks away just so mad. And I was like, oh, I don't know how he's going to react. And he turns around and goes, that was the best prank ever. Let's go to 5 Points and celebrate.
Well, now you really want to get kicked off the team.
That's right.
Oh,
so that was a pretty good. If you know Ryan, he loves a good prank, and he played a good part that night.
He's a hoot, but you have to have somebody that's willing to take the prank and be okay with it, like Evka. Like I'm sure Ryan probably is very selective on who he pranks. You don't want to cross the wrong person.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, talk about your education at Darla Moore School and what that meant to your career, what you're up to now, and kind of how South Carolina really catapulted you to that fancy office you're sitting in right now.
There we go. You know, I think Darla Moore School was a terrific experience. I think, unlike a lot of other recruits, that was a piece of the puzzle of bringing me to South Carolina. I was also looking at Davidson and Clemson when I was transferring. And so I think the whole package, Coach Odom, Darla Moore School was a big piece of it. So certainly challenging at the Darla Moore School. I remember going my junior year over to Singapore with a business case competition.
Yeah.
So learned a ton there. But yeah, I think that led into, the academic side of it, but also leadership. Have gotten involved with the university, being part of the Letterman Association with UPAT and Gamecock Club now. So it was just a wonderful experience. Studied real estate and corporate finance. So today I manage our commercial banking team at First Citizens, and started in Columbia in my banking career, and joined First Citizens there. And it's been a wonderful opportunity.
That's awesome. Well, you were, 4 years ago or 5 years ago, you were the president of the Letterman Association?
Yes, 2021, right after I think Walker and Abinet had it during COVID, and I was a year after.
Yeah, well, I mean, now this year is the year that I'm president, and as you know, there's a lot going on. But talk about why that was so important for you to get involved, because, I mean, you sit on the board for 5 to 6 years before you can become president. Then you have to serve a year after as past president. Talk about why you felt the urge to do that.
I'll back up a step. I think coming out of college, David Ross brought me over to Cardinal Newman. Dakota Watson will enjoy that story, but brought me over to help coach varsity basketball. And when I thought about it, just coming out of college, it was important to me because all of my coaches throughout the way I thought were just huge, respected how they shaped my career and why I'm where I am today. And so had a great time coaching varsity basketball there. And I think that led into getting involved with Gamecock. So I love the coaching part because I felt like I'm giving back to the youth and sports, as we were talking about earlier. But also, giving back to the university. South Carolina is one of the greatest parts of my life, where I met my wife, and where we bring our kids back to cheer on all the sports. And I think, just taking time to give back in a meaningful way to the university was important to me. And so the Letterman's Association, like I mentioned earlier, the locker room is just a brotherhood. There's so much loyalty there. Walking around the Letterman Lounge at a football game and running into both of you and other of our teammates and across different sports. Man, when else do you get that? It's just really special.
Yeah, well, let's talk a little bit about where South Carolina basketball is at right now. And Lamont Paris has been there. This is 4th season now, right?
Yes.
Third?
Yep.
Yeah.
I was thinking 3, but it's 4.
Yeah, but talk about your relationship, what you see in the team, and why you're so so positive on what he's bringing to the table.
Yeah, I think when you look at the record, certainly not what we want right now or last year. I believe in Lamont. Met him early on. And I think he's one of those just pure basketball guys. Has a great mind for it. Coached up at Wisconsin, Final Four runs with Bo, and I think certainly entering a different time with NIL, which I think Lamont does a great job building a team and watching those players grow, and so recycling those each year will be interesting to see how that plays out. But I had a lot of fun. Went up to Pittsburgh during the NCAA tournament run. And just watching him coach when he's got the right pieces. He doesn't need all the sexy 5-star players like Steven. He building a team that they share the ball well. They defend really well. They actually push it. He does a great job with it. I watched the Georgia game the other night, last Saturday, and Georgia was averaging 99 points, leading the NCAA tournament going into SEC play. And I felt like we really controlled the tempo of that game and should have pulled it out. I think we missed our last 8 shots. And that's probably, honestly, candidly, what we're missing is, on that Final Four run, having a end of the game when you're going to Sindarius, our senior year that we talked about, having a Devan, Downey, I think they got good pieces on this team, but having a person at the end of the
closer,
or you're struggling, Steven. You remember you're struggling in the middle of a game, and having that one. All right, we need to go get a bucket and get us out of this back on track. That's just so important.
Yeah. All right. Well, last 2 things.
Eli Ellis, man, he's going to be good.
He's like a young Branden Conrad, isn't he?
Yeah. He's far surpassed my point total in game number 2. I think my middle son asked me the other day. He's in the middle of 3rd grade basketball season. Dad, what'd you average, like 10 points a game in college? And I said, Dunk, I had 10 points once. Yeah.
Shit.
That's great.
Eli not scoring, he just impacts the game. Like if you watch the little details of what he does, the passes he makes, like that's what changes a game versus just the point. Like when 2 guys have to come to you, or just like guys cutting behind the goal, he's got a great knack of finding people in scoring position, which is a point guard. When you get back to 5 assists per game, like that doesn't happen unless you have a knack for knowing how other people score, not just yourself.
Yeah, he's got a good feel, and he's a student of the game, and he's just a playmaker. All right, well, kind of leading on that, like what's one piece of advice that you'd give to today's players at Carolina?
One piece of advice. That's a great question. You should have given me a heads up on a tough one. I'd go back
to and corporate finance.
I'd go back to Frank Martin's quote, and I'd use this not just with this team, but the team I coach here is be a star in your role. I coach 3rd grade basketball, 5th grade basketball right now. A lot of baseball field as well, and so again, you're coaching a group of 10 kids, and you really need to get out of today's mindset of how many dribbles can you get and what moves are you making, and they all come out and shoot in 3rd and 5th grade where Steph Curry is, and I give Steph, who by the way ended my high school and college career. And so, but one of my favorite players of all time, and he really changed the game. And kids come out shooting threes all the time. I said, do you know where Steph Curry starts every day, even now? Like, he starts 2 feet in front of the basket and really watches the ball go in. So I'd just say, be a star in your role. Like, learn how you can be most productive, work on your weaknesses, but see how you can have the most impact. Like I just said, how are you going to make the most impact on the game within your team dynamic?
It's so hard. It's hard to tell these kids that, because their first thing is, I'm not playing, so I'm going to transfer somewhere else.
You hit, and Steven, you're working with everyone, combines, kids going to high school. I mean, you see it more than anything is you have to change, your off-season mindset to your in-season mindset. So in off-season, you got 4 guys in the quarterback room, and your off-season mindset is, I'm going to go beat out Steven or the number one.
Right.
I'm gonna go get that one guy. You get into season and you're not starting. It may be, I need to be ready if my number's ever called, but I also need to make sure Steven and this group of receivers is ready as well. And so I really took that to heart when I was playing. I went through a year, like I said, sitting out, and it was just as important, me in practice, to get those guys ready. The next year I wasn't playing a lot. That was frustrating. But I still had a role to make the starters better, so we were prepared to win a game the following day, because that's what mattered the most.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's it. Like, it is. We're in such a me mentality and me culture that, like, what New England's thing is, do 111, do your job. Like, all the slogans that everybody kind of giggles at and laughs at, but look at those teams that truly embody those things, and they win championships. So there's something about them.
And then also, that's the most fun what was the most fun year you had? Mine was senior year when we were winning. Yep. And everyone was on the same page.
No, 100%. Mine was, senior year of high school, we played for a state championship, and then senior year of college, we played in the SEC championship. It's crazy. Growth and development. It's
always a lot more fun when you're winning.
Yeah.
Hey, Steven, I got to share this. You've had huge wins over Ole Miss, Alabama, Clemson. But what you're known for in the Conrad house is, my wife always tells a story of when she ran and did a cannonball, jumped over you and did a cannonball at the Olympia pool. And so that's how my kids know Steven Garcia. Also, I know my wife has a better vertical jump than I do.
That Olympia pool is dangerous.
Agreed.
I'm married now, and I don't like talking about any of the college days anymore. Those stories are done for me.
Yeah.
That's funny though, man. That's really funny.
Well,
who we got there, Pat?
Fullback right here. This is Wade. He's 3.
Wade.
On this note, I got to get back to work, and so do y'all, I'm sure. So, Branden, appreciate you joining us. This was a great interview. I'm sure it'll be one of everyone's favorite, even though they might not know you going into it. They're going to feel like you're one of their best friends when it's done.
No doubt.
Wade, I'm glad you crashed the party, man.
No kidding.
All right. Appreciate you.
Yeah, I appreciate y'all. Thanks so much for having me. Great to see you, Steven. Good to see you, Pat.
Absolutely, man. We'll be in touch, man. I appreciate you, brother.
All right. See y'all.